A very good morning to all the participants of the summer school, and a very warm welcome and good morning to our resource person, Dr. Pragya Badoria. Just for the introduction purpose of our respected resource person, ma'am, I would like to bring in your kind attention the background of our participants of our summer school. We have more than 100 participants being that have registered for this summer school. Although most of the participants they are from agroforestry background, but we have a good number of participants from other areas of agriculture. We have a very good number of veterinarians also in this summer school, and some people from private sector have also joined, and almost 30 to 40 research scholars from PG and PhD are also joining us. Just this is the final week of this summer school. We have had lectures ranging from different dimensions of agroforestry research and extension. But so far as integration of livestock in agroforestry systems is concerned, so far as ITK or indigenous wisdom or indigenous traditional knowledge of farmers is concerned, we although we had a lecture on medicinal and aromatic plants, but not focused on ITKs. So this is going to be a very engaging session, I believe. And just for the uh, attention of the participants, for the speaker, I would like to introduce Dr. Pragya Badoria. She is a wonderful and young scientist. She has more than 11 years of extension and research career. She has published more than 30 original research papers in various reputed journals. And besides this, she has handled more than 10 research projects with respect to livestock technology transfer and popularized more than 8 livestock-based technologies. And she has played a pivotal role in promotion of diversified livestock farming in north zone of our country. Dr. Pragya she is presently working as a senior scientist in livestock production management discipline at ICAR Agricultural Technology Application Research Center for Zone 4, and that's stationed at Patna, Bihar. She has done her graduation in veterinary sciences for GNKVV Jabalpur and masters in LPM from one of the prestigious livestock research institute of our country, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Izzatnagar. And again, she has done PhD from the same discipline, that is livestock production management, from one again very grand institute of dairy research in India, that's having a reputation globally as well, National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal. I think this is going to be a very interesting lecture because, as you all of know, that agroforestry deals with integration of livestock also, both in spatial and temporal sequence. So anything, any question, our participants or clarifications or doubts, they may claim about integration of livestock. Ravinder Kolse, kindly unmute, kindly mute yourself. Any participants are requested if they have any clarifications or any doubts related to how well integrating livestock into agroforestry systems can be ensured. And just for the introduction, just for the information of our participants, agroforestry policy was promulgated in the year 2014. A year prior to this, that is in 2013, we had national livestock policy also for our country. So this is in tandem, these things work, integrating livestock as well as other platforms in agroforestry systems, and also using indigenous traditional knowledge. So Dr. Pragya Badoria, she will be delivering a talk on harnessing indigenous wisdom. There will be, she has done a lot of work in this respect. I have heard her lectures prior to this summer school as well. Insights into the role of traditional knowledge in sustainable agriculture. We will be taking queries, questions, and clarifications at the end of the presentation. Ma'am, your presentation is visible. You are also audible. We have just checked it. The floor is all yours. You can start your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. Thank you for a brief biodata of mine. So it is very nice to hear again from IGFRI and NADCL, and thankful to the organizer for giving me this excellent opportunity to share my work, knowledge, and wisdom with respect to harnessing indigenous wisdom into the role of ITKs, or Indigenous Technology Knowledge in Sustainable Agriculture. Actually, although I have worked in ITK in Northern Zone before Patna, I was at Atari, Ludhiana, where I have worked with 5 states of North India, and I have worked there for livestock related ITK. But by seeing the profile of these summer school participants, I have made the presentation in a generalized manner with respect to agriculture as well as livestock. So I'm not going to much detail of the more of the ITK practices. I will show them in very short in last slide of mine. So be tolerable to my subject area, and I hope that you will definitely acquire some valuable insight from this lecture. So, dear participant, if we know that we are already in era where most of the population, 70% of our population of reside in rural areas, and their major livelihood activity is related to agriculture and livestock. And our government is through to various departments and developmental program. Our efforts are to concentrate towards transforming the traditional agricultural system to the modern agricultural technologies. However, from last few decades, if we see the agricultural production is confronted with many number of challenges like low productivity with respect to crop as well as animals, lack of resilience, sustainability, and equitable agricultural growth. So, according to Warren, they have created the issue that there is a growing interest of the agriculture sector towards the untapped reservoir of indigenous agriculture knowledge, which exhibits important element of sustainability. So, in this way, the potential of traditional agriculture and livestock is increasing in last few years because of this climate change and other natural challenges. So if we see that it is also gained a global recognition at international platform also. And we know that India is a country of Rishi and Krishi, which have a very rich heritage of traditional system, which are used since time immemorial. So from the beginning, we know that the farmers are engaged in indigenous practices, developing their own technique to solve their local problems. And we know that what is sustainability, if we see that farmers, from old age, farmers kept in the mind of sustainability, which includes a holistic component, which include environment, social, and economics. And according to Technical Advisory Committee of CGIAR, that sustainable agriculture include all the successful management of resources for agriculture to satisfy the human needs while maintaining or enhancing the quality of environment and conserving the natural resources. So in sustainability, there should be a balance between the technological production as well as with the ecosystem demand. So the technology which we are providing to the farmers or to the farming community, it should be ecologically sound, ecologically viable, socially acceptable, humane, and adaptable. So if we see the definition of indigenous technical knowledge is the accumulated skill and technology of local people or a community that has been passed from one generation to another generation. So we can say indigenous, there are few important words that we have to very much clear about. Indigenous, traditional or local. So it is that it is derived from that to transmit from generation to generation. So if we see the international definition of ITK, so according to CBT, it is the traditional knowledge which refer to awareness, invention, and traditional of local and indigenous culture worldwide. Similarly, WIPO have defined traditional knowledge as knowledge, skill, practices, and know-how that are developed, sustained, and passed from one generation to another within a community, often forming its cultural or spiritual identity. So ITK may be involve information, the community beliefs, religious faith, material farming system, natural resources, human resources, or any expertise in their skill like artisan, education, communication, etc. ITK may be found in the people's memories and day-to-day activities in the form of stories, songs, folklore, proverbs, dance, myth, cultural values, beliefs, rituals, community law, language, taxonomy, agricultural practices, equipment, plant species, and animal breeds. So if we see the word indigenous, so indigenous is mainly related to the tribal or local community of any national group or by virtue of their economic, social, and cultural condition, governed partially or completely by their own custom and tradition. So we can say ITK may be termed as local knowledge, traditional knowledge, native wisdom, or traditional ecological knowledge. So there are different forms. There are you can get confused whether it is ITK or not, but people according to different areas they are using ITK as synonymically. So if we see what are the significance of ITK to the rural peoples, because rural peoples from the older time they remain more spiritual, God-fearing, religious, and they believe mostly in the local farming system for their livelihood. Similarly, they believe they will be happy and prosperous if they work in synergies with the environment and with their certain beliefs and practices. So the livelihood of rural people mainly depend on certain their own experiences and their knowledge, which is essential for their survival. So in this way, these kind of knowledge in the qualitative form, they transfer from one generation to another generation in the form of languages and skill, which are mostly untapped or unwritten knowledge. So such knowledge stand as the main source of utilization of natural resources. And if we see, this is the reason why ITK is important to the rural people. But if we see how ITK is important to scientific people or to the science or in the present scenario, then we can see if we see the drawbacks of modern technology, then we can see there is a low adoption rate of modern technology due to lack of awareness, cost, maintenance, and lack of adaptability. Similarly, the end user or the beneficiary farmers seek locally available resources or practices that promisingly affect on their livelihood. Many traditional skill and practices which are related to agricultural management are already show a greater element of sustainability, and farmers need to support these existing ITK with the modern practices. However, the traditional practices and knowledge are the outcome of daily experience of the local people, so they are seems to be vague and not scientifically supported. So in for scientists it is very essential to identify and document and upscale these ITK for wider adoption. And if we see, if we are not conserving, documenting, and protecting them, they are lost at a faster rate. And so, in the form of database, it should be conserved as quickly as possible. And because otherwise, they will be extinct. And if they are integrated by thorough validation with the scientific modern technology, they will provide a good motivation and credible source to the rural people for their local resources. So, for the scientific fraternity, it is essential to identify the appropriate and promising ITK that need to be tested, validated, and where there is a necessary scope of improvement and integrate into the conventional research system. Therefore, there is an urgent need to safeguard these ITK. So, if we see what are the characteristics of ITK, these are cumulative and holistic because they combine the nature, ecology, and economy and society. These are the sustainable source, and ITK are mainly sustainable, so because they are not disturbing the ecology, ecological balance. They are have a indigenous ecological base. They are resilient practices and preserve, and they are specific to the culture or provide the identity to a particular community. They are integrated with the traditional wisdoms, and they empower and provide an identity to the indigenous community, so helping community development. And they also have a background of spirituality and morals and value in the form of ethics, and there is a transfer from generation to generation, and basically it is based on the local decision and experience base, and they are generally qualitative in nature, so they can't be quantified but they can be documented, and through experience and repetitions they are transferred from one generation to other, and they are non-linear, means they directly not scientifically, most of the ITKs generally not follow the law of science or mathematical linear methods. So we have to identify which can be scientifically validated. So ITK mostly includes vernacular, which are specific to local areas like knowledge of medicinal plant, pest, disease control. They are specific to a particular resource person like doctor, means neem, hakim, medicine, charcoal making, blacksmithery, or varietal testing. Similarly, controlled in a particular group or dominant group in a society like breeders, animal breeders, hunters, animal grazers. Similarly, certain social caste or clan or tribe dominate, like grazing tribes or fishing or something like else. So these are the certain example in case of agriculture sectors, like in the form of proverbs. I'm not going into the detail, like ripening of fruits, jamun tree indicate the commencement of rain. If rains comes in the month of Chaitra, then there would be a dry spell in the month of Savana. So in this way, there are general saying or proverbs that are prevalent in the villages or in the communities that are passed from one generation to another. Similarly, some traditional beliefs and custom, particularly with respect to the livestock sector, like not feeding colostrum to the calves immediately. On the contrary, on scientific uh, terms, we are just saying opposite of this, like and similarly tying placenta on the trees, purchase of cow based on colors and wolves, and death of a cow or buffalo bad for the family, and feeding gruel with jaggery to newly calved cows. So these are the kind of custom and belief that are still prevalent in most of the rural communities and areas throughout the India. So these are other example or practices for restoring the fodders, like Fuhara. This is, I think, in North India also. In UP side, the traditional method of grain storage is Kuthilia in mud bins. So, and this is in the form of folk songs like in Jharkhand and in North India and in South India. So, this is the important reservoir of the ITK knowledges and practices. So, if we see, there is a huge difference between the traditional knowledge system and the modern knowledge system, because the traditional knowledge system originated from the experiences and from the folklores and ancient books, paintings, and their day-to-day practices, while the modern science or modern knowledge system has originally originated from the traditional, but then slight scientific modernization and scientific validation, it now comes into the existence. Similarly, this old traditional knowledge system respect the nature, and they keep the nature within themselves, while on the other hand, the modern knowledge system is somewhat, we call it a selfish type, and these are basically related to manipulating and abusing nature, like poly houses, or like these environmental control houses in poultry sector. So these are manipulation of the environmental laws. Similarly, if we see the traditional local system, it is basically sociological and epistemologically, means like they are based on the philosophy rather than scientific validation. But on the other hand, if we see the modern system, it is basically based on the scientific, mathematical, and mechanical laws. So if we see why it is advantageous to use ITK in the agriculture production system, looking at the climate change, other scenario of today's world, ITK seems to be cheap, and most of the cases they are free of cost. They keep harmony and cohesiveness with the nature, and the concept is easily acceptable and grasped by the local people, and their availability is locally, like in case of plant herbs or any sort of locally available things. These are not harmful to human health. Also, they don't give side effect in case of plants as well as animals, and they can be prepared on the basis of demand, and they can solve the local problem very well. So application of ITK does not always demand specialists. So whenever there is a demand, then one has to come and attend the cases. But if locally available things are there, then people can do by themselves. So if we see the probable area in agriculture sector, then mainly in the rainfed and irrigated sector is the rainwater management, method to check soil and water erosions, practice to check wind erosions, tillage and intercultural management, crops and cropping system, pest and disease management, and method of weather forecasting. That is certainly based on the clouds positioning and birds and animals presence. So and if we see the different forms which is basically involved in ITKR's agroforestry, that you are dealing with this only. Intercropping, I think you all know about this. I'm not going into the detailed definition of this, but these area comes under the traditional system of agriculture practices. So intercropping, cover cropping, crop rotation, natural farming, and organic farming. See, one of the means important example of promotion of natural farming, that our government is also taking a due credit to these the old age practices like natural farming, because they are much concerned about the climate change and other ill soil effects. If we see the soil health, so natural farming and organic farming is promoted by the agriculture ministry also in the form of huge projects. So this is this we can say ki now scientists and the policy maker are also inclined towards the importance of ITK. And other probable area are horticulture, crops, and in veterinary sciences that I have chosen. This is my area: fisheries, aquaculture, farm implement, ethnobotany and agro biodiversity, and grain and seed storage. And other areas are like fuel management, wastewater management, garbage disposal and management, low cost housing material, and ethnic food. So one of the example of ethnic food I would like to quote here, that I am working at Atari. So it is a multidisciplinary organization, extension organization. So I am not very much restricted to livestock. Beside livestock, I have to do many other research projects also. So under the International Year of Millet Promotion, to find out the biodiversity in the ethnic food in case of millets, we have organized the approach of millet recipe contest throughout the India. So in our zone at Bihar and Jharkhand, we have find out the what are the millet diversity and food system. They are acquainted in the tribal areas of Jharkhand. So a lot of food system, recipes, and grains were identified through these contests. So these are the approaches through which we can do research on ITKs. So we can say that ITK are forgotten and not documented in last few decades, but now it's the time of revival, because why they have forgotten, because they are generally orally transmitted, and there is a no need, means myth of like no need of indigenous technology, lack of understanding. The main thing is that we don't understand the importance of our previous indigenous technology or our value or ethics. So we are moving towards the modern technology by leaving behind our old days these practices. So there is no serious attempt was done by the governments and by the research, because we believe in advanced kind of basic research or whatever the type of research like biotechnology, bioinformatics, like this. So we thought that somebody is working on indigenous part or with the community or with the rural. So there is a social biasness, or like in scientific community, I can say it is a social taboo type. Like somebody is not very modern, they are working in the rural area, and they are somebody is working in the high profile labs. So there is no serious attempt or no serious research work carried out by the scientific fraternity in this area, although it means it has a important essence of sustainability. So there is less documentation of ITK. So if we see how we can preserve these ITK, so this is why we have to preserve for equity, for needs, for rural and modern, rural and urban areas, equity, biodiversity conservation and preservation of traditional practices. So in this way, we have to give due credit to the local people to justify their knowledge. So in this way, we have our moral responsibility ability of the scientific fraternity towards preservation of ITK. So from government side also there are few laws. I'm not going detail much about these laws, but otherwise you can have a general idea. These laws are mainly related to ITK, like Patent Act, Copyright Act, Geographical Indicator, Trademark, and Biodiversity Act. I'm giving brief detail which are more important, like if we see in IPR, if somebody wants to take a patent in IPR in this IT case, so till date, Indian patent law do not permit the protection of traditional value under Indian Patent Act 1970. But if the traditional knowledge provides some significant change in the current ITK practice and allow some innovation to satisfy the Indian IP law requirement, then it comes under the purview of the patent application. Otherwise, what they believe that it is duplication or aggregation of known property or known knowledge, so it is not considered to be an invention. So if one should try to file a patent for some ITK, then they have to give some innovation in that particular ITK. So similarly, if we see there are different international organizations which promote protection of ITKs, like WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. Similarly, CBD, Convention of Biodiversity, and TRIPS Agreement, which follow or which lay down the various laws and related to promotion of IPR. So the most common is in agriculture sector is two laws like PPVFRA. You may be aware that many farmers variety which are locally available in many areas or many tribal areas, they are giving they are registered under PPVFRA, and you might be knowing that it's headquartered at Delhi, NAS complex, and that ex-DG is now the chairman or president of this PPVFRA. So it is a good area to explore these farmers variety which are prevalent, but they are not identified. So who has the responsibility to identify these kind of farmer variety? Are scientists which are locally working in a particular area. So because they are working with the farmers, they can identify certain breeds, certain breeds of animals or certain varieties of plants that can comes under PPVFRA. So and in PPVFRA, it is not necessary that the variety is somewhat novel or something new is that. But if the farmers is protecting these variety from a longer time, from a generation to generation, like in case of some millets in MP and Chhattisgarh, one get highest award in case of women's that farmer. So this is the recognition a farmer get from preservation of their old age varieties. So these are the extant variety or farmers variety. They are common in particular area, but they are not novel. So, but our responsibility is to identify such kind of breeds and varieties to be identified and to be registered under PPVFRA. So every time PPVFRA registration and there, and they announce award for this also for the farmers for their recognition. Similarly, GI for goods. Similarly, if some goods, agricultural goods are there, like banana in Bihar, banana, and like painting, Madhubani painting, and Alfonso apple. So these kind of local food, agricultural goods or foods, if they are prevalent widely in a particular area, they can also be registered under GI. This is the responsibility of the local scientific personnel to identify such kind of foods and get registered, try to register under GI tags. Okay, so if we see now what are the constraints while using these ITK, because ITK is not well accepted by the young generation because they are not at all exposed by these kind of practices, and the farmers think that they are time consuming, exhaustive, and some of the herbs in case of ethno-veterinary practices, they are dangerous to the animals, and similarly they are not very effective in large scale production. So their availability is restricted to particular place. The market is quite less, and there is some beliefs like they are demonic, superstitious beliefs are there. The laws are not very much prominent in Indian conditions, and due to deforestation, many of the trees and herbs get lost, and there is no proper procedure of standardization and documentation of these ITKs, and there is a variation in prescription in case of livestock. If we see in ethno-veterinary practices, they can't be generalized. They vary from place to place, animal to animal, and species to species. Similarly, educated persons, they feel they hesitate to apply it because they feel they are ineffective and not very user friendly, dirty. And some selfish people which exist, which acquire these knowledge, they don't pass on these knowledge to the other ones. So these are few constraints. And now, how we can include these ITK in our scientific research? So we have tried through project mode that ITK would be integrated in our research system. Because pharma health, it is there is the assumption, research assumption we follow, that pharma have a wealth of knowledge pertaining to their own environment, and pharma have developed specific skill designed to make the best use of that environment. So ITK can be integrated in research system by documentation, validation, refinement, and integration in the main research system. So these are the steps, or we can say the steps, as well as the what are the method by we can do that. First is the document the ITK. First is, I can say, identification, and then document. Means first of all we have to keep our senses open while working in our areas, in rural areas, and then we have to document these ITK through surveys, PRA, observation, and documentary evidences. And then we have to validate these ITK. After documenting, we have to validate these ITK and assess is there any scientific logic behind them through expert survey, laboratory analysis, or on-farm testing. And then after that, if there is some scientific knowledge, we can redefine or refine these ITK for wider scalability, wider upscaling these ITK through research program, on-farm research, farmer participatory laboratory research. And then through protection, these ITK can be protected and validated through guard and legalize the ITK through laws like GI tags, or I already told PPVFRA, or through IPR. So in this way we can protect them. And then after that, promotion of these ITK in the main research system. So these are the identification, how we can identify. I have already told through focus group discussion, questionnaire documentation, and then secondary data collection from different research papers, published literature, articles, analysis, journals, and newspapers. So these are the different ways we can document large variety of ITKs without scientific validation, like notes by making notes, taking photo, audio recordings, and video recordings. So this is the method developed by NAN for that form is developed by NAN for documenting the ITK through informal interview. Key informants like person or most knowledgeable person in a particular area or village. Panel discussion, focus group discussion, case study, or participants observation. So these are different methods of documenting as developed by the NAR. Now, if we see what is the format we have applied in our research is title of the ITK, which is the title like local means treatment of mastitis by locally available herbs, like this title of the ITK. General description of the ITK, whether it is a method, material, or for which purpose, rationale or hypothesis. There is certain rationale by the people, local people are using that one, and who are using that, experience of user, like from which means how many years they are using, technical feasibility, if they believe there is some scientific or technically it can be done easily, compatibility with the agro ecosystem or socio-cultural, since how many years this practice is used and from how many generations they are using this. Documentary evidence, you have to take that one, and relevant specific any other information if you want to quote it down, and consent. And consent is very important, because if sometimes it happens that it has some area of patentability or some registration, then there should be no dispute among the informant. So it is very essential to take written confirmation of that particular information from the farmer or any representative. So this is example how in PRA, doing PRA at NAM, these kind of exercise we were doing during our training program. So in that we have to go in an adopted village and we have to identify these kind of ITK knowledge map we have to find, and in this way inventory we have to prepare different kinds of things, means like agricultural system, human also, and for animals also. So in this way, flow diagram, either in the pictorial form, either in the any way, we have to document, or taking pictures, we have to document this ITK. Now, second step is testing and validation. So after testing, means after documentation, we prepare a list of all the collected ITK, and then on the basis of continuum rating, there are a parameter for prioritization of the ITK, because you may get 20 or 50 or 100 of ITKs in a particular village or area, but all are scientifically validated or scientific background, it is not necessary. So we have to first find out their importance on the basis of their priorities. So we have to prioritize these ITK on the basis of severity of the problem, prevention of maximum loss, because I have prepared or I have taken for ethno-veterinary practice for livestock sector. In this way, we have used this scale, very rational, undecided, irrational, or very irrational. So in this way, we have prioritized these ITK and selected only 5 or 10 ITK which are going to be more promising. So we can call them promising ITK. Then validation of the promising ITK. So there are different method of validation, but what we have done, we have used the expert advice. So we have calculated for prioritization, we have calculated the weight mean score, and then we have given the score and send it to the researcher group of expert through online. And then they have on the basis of rationality and other, they have given the score. And then the second method is laboratory method through government trial or through farmers field trial. We can also validate these promising ITK. And after validation, either of the method, we have to go for refinement, because it is might be it is not very much effective in their original form. So if there is some refinement with respect to larger area, we can refine them through on-farm trial and then replicate on farmers' field for their validity. And then finally, we can get it back to the farmers and integrate with their existing practices. So farmer can easily take up them because they are already doing this. So they will not hesitate. Only the thing is that some refinement will be there from our side. So हम just ऐसा बोलेंगे कि do this like this. मतलब किसी का omission या किसी का addition करके we can integrate them. So in this way, criteria I already told that how we will validate it. So after that, this is whole process that we will identify the problem, like for example, in case of mastitis problem in a village. So identify the problem, and then does ITK related to problem exist? If we see there is any solution to this problem which is tackled by the ITK. So if yes, then ITK is effective or sustainable, we want to see. If it is yes, then we will promote that ITK. If it is not, then we have to refine that ITK. And after refinement, we can promote. So in this way, we have to make a decision tree. And after that, we have to select which ITK is scientifically proven and can be integrated in the current system of the farmers. So this is all about preservation of ITK. Now I will tell something about the government efforts, what or the portal where you can get information about these ITK. At international level, you can find that Center for Indigenous Knowledge in Agriculture and Rural Development. This is international portal or center which publishes indigenous knowledge and monitor the different kind of knowledge internationally. And in this way, Kiran and World Bank, these are the different portals. This is for knowledge purpose. If somebody wants to go detail, you can go to their website and you can search in detail. But if you see in Indian condition, if we say so, Government of India is not directly, but in public-private partnership or NGO mode, they are promoting ITK in the form of Society for Research and Initiative for Sustainable Technology. This is a honeybee network which is operational in 71 countries and its origin is India. Similarly, Gujarat Grassroots Innovation Augmenting Network, this is GYAN, and Traditional Knowledge and Digital Library. It is governed by CSIR. So this is for human health, because in this digital library of India, all the medicine of Ayurveda, Unani, and yoga, other practices and medicine, they are grouped into different, and they are available at Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. You can go through this portal and you can see this is managed by CSIR and it is established in the year 2001. Some of the universities also promoting studies in ITKs. Because basically in rural areas or in the tribal areas, Like in Odisha, this university is providing degrees and diploma in ITK. And this is the National Innovation Foundation. This is established by DST. So this is also promoting ITK or grassroots innovation, which is originated from farmers' field. So one can get into these kind of research, and I can suggest that young generation may be opt this, because if we see now, there is sustainability of which kind of research. ITK sector is a sustainable research. Throughout from a longer time, you can see it is the research is like in biotechnology, bioinformatics. These kind of research can changes from era to era. But the ITK kind of research has a sustainable existence. It is evergreen. We can say evergreen kind of research, and if somebody is doing good, they can get good recognition in this area also. So these are the National Innovation Foundation portal. You can find out what kind of ITK is in particular district are available. So the same kind of portal is also managed by NARM also. In that case, all the you can find out in your area. You can put the district and state, and you can find what are the different kind of ITKs are available in your area. So it is portal developed by NARM. And in ICR, through NATP project during 2000, a series of 7 books or a project mode, this ITK was documented and validated by most of the prestigious institute like IVRI, then Palampur, BHU. So there are many centers who have taken this NATP project in a mission mode for collection, documentation, and validation of indigenous technical knowledge. So you can get a access for these validated. These are ITK which are documented. They are thoroughly validated through these advanced center, and you can get these book at ICR website only. So in this way, other Krishi inventory, you can see different Krishi mein Paramparagat Gyan. These are different volumes, like for plant science is different, for animals different. So in this way. And this is my work that we have done, that if we see in livestock sector, it is majority. We have found that a lot of work done in veterinary medicine and traditional practices also for solving the livestock problem. So we were working for documentation and validation of the few of the ITKs, as well as the cross-sectional validation, because in different areas the same problem is treated by different herbs or methods. So there is cross-sectional validation or cross-regional validation also we have done. So in this way, this is some of the major result in North India. We have taken documented in Punjab, Himachal, and so you can see if we see that maximum adoption of ITK, it is in the hilly areas, because the people are still living with the nature and they believe in their traditional way of living and rearing the animals. So in Himachal, it is highest, and then Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, and it is least in the Punjab due to modernization or due to access to the modern technology. If we see most of the ITK are mainly inclined towards ethno-veterinary practices. More than 80% are which farmers are using with respect to livestock management is related to health aspect. With respect to management, it is quite less. So there is also region-specific variation. I already told that same problem is treated by different methods. So it suggests that there is a suggested preparation of unique product on role of ingredient. Means in that area, that particular ingredient in different concentration, it's a different treat different element, and in Himachal it will give different result. So as a remedy for a single problem like mastitis, because it is common to every place. Like in all states, it is common mastitis, tympani, and FMD. Its remedy vary from reason to reason. So, as a scientist, what we have to do, we have to find out the best remedy for wider acceptability at different regions. So, these are the pattern. So these are the what are the adoption already. It is somewhat I have covered in the text section already, that by adoption of farmers, they feel ITK are good because they are already in practice, and there is timely availability, and the cost is very less, and their dependency to other sources, other people like veterinarians, because the veterinarian can't have access in rural areas or in remote areas very frequently. So this is the best why these farmers are using ITKs. And similarly, there are some constraints. What we have found that attractive nature of the modern practice and the high labor and skill requirement, we have ranked these constraints and institutional and government policies. For modern technology, it is more, and for ITK, it is less. And farmers are not willing to take risk in case of ITKs. So these are the work we have done in that north zone. So these are the few ITKs. I'm not much going into the detail because I think time is also over. So just I'm giving a brief like diarrhea in goats, mastitis in dairy animals. See, this kind of practice, the farmer have rationality behind that. That if you see that lemon scientific validation, if you see lemon fruit, they are using lemon along with sugar because the taste is quite sour, so they are using sugar with the lemon. So lemon fruit juice and ammonium chloride like salt and sugar are responsible for lowering the pH of milk. So it is creating a acidic situation. So which is not favorable to the bacteria growth. So in this way, there is a scientific validation for these practices. So like that also prolapse, in case of prolapse, they are using this floral leaves for controlling this. And then this thrush, rope thrush, they are used for prolapse, preventing the prolapse. Similarly, taramira, they are preventing for giving to the animals for deworming, and for retention of placenta, they are giving the mixture of fenugreek and jaggery. And in Himachal Pradesh, if you see in before last 2 years, there was a epidemic of lumpy skin disease. So that farmers were doing indigenous practice, which is to be more beneficial rather than allopathic medicines. So in this way, like mastitis, I was telling that in Himachal itself, in different districts, they are
Ma'am, can you please try to conclude?
okay. Different type of herbs they are using for similar kind of ailment. So this is same thing I'm telling, that different in different district there is different variability of use of to treat particular ailment. So this is practices they are using red soil and common pest in Jammu region, Jammu, Rajouri, Anantnag. So in this way, and this is in Uttarakhand. So these are the we have documented, and somewhat we have validated. We have left with some validation on farm also. So in conclusion, I hope that you have gained something from this presentation, and I would like to conclude that documentation of ITK is needed for development of inventory. At least we should have inventory of promising livestock practices or agricultural practices that farmers of your area are doing. So if every zone-wise documentary or inventory we have get for these ITK, it will be a great contribution to the future generation by our scientific fraternity. Similarly, developing new research technology, because I already told that people goes for modern kind of research also. But what about these traditional areas of research? So somehow have to take interest in these kind of research areas also. And then after finding some of the scientific validated practices or ITK, we have to integrate these kind of indigenous system into the existing research for betterment of the farming community. Also, we can give some technological input or technological option to the research institution to do more advanced research in that particular area. And as these ITKs and technology are cost effective, we can give a local, manageable and meaningful solution to the local community. So we have our moral responsibility also to conserve our ecosystem with this traditional knowledge and provide them the due credit in the form of safeguard and legalize their ownership of the local community. And in this, the most important thing is the policy has to be framed to bring these kind of research on the main platform, and it should be more education included in curriculum system and development of market for these indigenous and organic product with the support of collective resource management institute. So with these words, I would like to thanks to give me this excellent opportunity to share my work and insight on this topic. So anybody has any remarks or any question, they can ask me freely. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pragya ma'am, for your very nice and elaborative talk on the various aspects of indigenous